Hello, people of promise. Welcome back to VBS Week 2. Let's get right to our theme song.
Standing on the promises of Christ my King, through eternal ages let His praises ring. Glory in the highest I will shout and sing, standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises I cannot fail. Listening every moment to the Spirit's call. Resting in my Savior, He's my all and all. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God.
So today we're going to learn about another person of promise, actually people of promise, Abraham and Sarah. So do you have your promise banner that we made last week? And on our red P, we wrote Noah for last week. I want you to go to your orange R, and we're going to write Abraham and Sarah to help us remember that they are people of the week. All right, so Abraham and Sarah, let's get right to our story. Hello, so I am here with our next storyteller, Miss Carol, who's going to teach us about another person of promise. Miss Carol?
Well, I am really glad to be here with you this week. Now, I know last week you talked about promises.
We did, in covenants.
Promises and covenants. Now, in my mind, I know a promise is the assurance that if you say you're going to do something, that you're going to follow through and do it. Now, I know if I make a promise, I really, really try.
Yes.
And I know most kids, if they promise something, they really mean it, and they really, really try. But sometimes it just doesn't work out.
It's true. We're all human.
Yes. God, on the other hand, makes promises and has made promises through history that He has kept. You know what His grade is?
What?
100%.
100%.
100% of the time, if God makes a promise, He keeps it forever.
And I don't think any of us can say we are that good, are we?
No. But our story today is about a man named Abram and his wife Sarai. And God made this story in the book of Genesis to tell us that He had gone and talked to Abram. And He said to Abram, Abram, I want you to leave Haran, where he was living.
Okay.
And I want you to go to a land that I'll choose for you.
Okay.
He also said, Abram, I want you to take your wife Sarai,
Okay.
and I want you to take everything that belongs to you, like all of your clothing, all of the things from in your home. I want you to take all of your animals. And I want you to take all of the people that work for you, and I want you to go.
So you just have to pack up and leave.
Pack up and leave. Can you think about imagining if you had to leave your house?
I would not want to do that.
God must have thought that Abram needed to have a little bit of encouragement to do that. And so, this is what He said to him. Okay, I'm going to read it to you from Genesis.
Okay.
Now, do you remember where I might find the book of Genesis?
In a library.
Probably.
It's a book.
In a book. What book?
The dictionary.
Yes? Wouldn't say too much about
No.
Genesis, though. Where would that be?
No. It would be in the Bible.
I just so happen to have one. And let me tell you, this is what, to encourage Abram to do this is what Jesus said, or what God said to him. Go to the land I will show you. No name, no sense of how far away. He says, I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great. You will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you. I will put a curse on anyone who calls down a curse on you. All nations on earth will be blessed because of you. Right here in Genesis, he says that. Now, I think we have to talk a little bit about Abram. Abram was a man that was 75 years old when God talked to him. And Sarai was close to him in age. Now, they were 75. They had no children. And yet God was making a promise to them that from their family, a great nation would be born. A nation's a whole lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Right. They were amazed at this because at 75, Abram and Sarai thought, this is ridiculous because we are too old to have children and you're talking about this huge family. So, Abram never hesitated. He obeyed. And so he left Haran. And he went with Sarai. And he also had a nephew with him. Nephew's name was Lot. And he took him and then all the animals.
So he took a lot with him?
He took a lot with him. You're right, Joe. That was a good one. He obeyed God because Abram, through his whole life of 75 years, had trusted God. And he also knew that God used the people that he called to fulfill all his promises. So Abraham and Sarai left, and they started on their journey. And I think you have a map.
I do have a map here. So I'm going to turn this around. So on this map, we have a map of Haran to Canaan, and it shows their journey. If you look at this red line, it shows what their journey is. Now, how far was their journey? See, if we can think of it in terms we understand, this here is a map of the United States. And if we zoom in on this map, we can find where we are right now, at least where we are right now, is in Pennsylvania, this green part. We are down in this corner of Pennsylvania. But their journey would be like us going from this corner of Pennsylvania to this corner of Maine. We'd have to go the whole way up here, all through all those states to travel the amount of miles that Abraham and Sarah traveled. It was a lot of miles, about 600 miles.
That is a lot of miles.
Then they didn't do it on an airplane or a car.
Nope.
Or even a motorcycle.
Or a bike.
Or a bike. Or roller skates.
Nope. None of those things because they walked or they rode some of their animals. Now, the Bible tells us that they traveled because God told them to for 25 years.
Wow.
I think most of our kids are not 25.
No, I don't think so.
No. How could we figure out 25?
So 25. Let's see. I know some of you are 5. If we put 5 of you 5-year-olds together, that's how many years? That's 25.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta think, how old am I? I'm 37. So I would have been, 12, 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of years. Let's see, what else is 25? That's 2.5 decades. That is a quarter of a century.
I think they need to check with their families
I think
and
you
see
yeah.
maybe their moms or dads. I wonder if they're 25
They might be
yet,
25.
or maybe if they're a little bit, how many more than 25? But that was a long time.
Ask your grown-ups, what were you doing 25 years ago? That would be a good question to find out. So when you're eating dinner tonight or lunch tomorrow, ask your grown-ups, what were you doing 25 years ago? How old were you 25 years ago? If they're older than 25. Some may not be older than 25 yet. 25 is a big number. 25
years ago, I was still teaching school. 25 years ago, I didn't have the grandchildren that I have now. So that 25 years is a long time. So imagine how patient Abram and Sarai had to be in order to keep going, waiting for God to fulfill this promise. Well, when Abram and Sarai got to the land of Canaan and God told them, this is it. This is where you need to be. God talked to them again. And even before he did, when Abram realized that that's where he was to travel to, he built an altar and immediately worshiped God. That's how much they had trusted him through all those years.
That's wonderful. Can you imagine going on that trip? And first of all, they have to leave their house and take all their stuff, but also they don't know where they're going.
Right.
Oh, I'll tell you when you get there. Well, how do you even plan for that? I mean, I'm a planner, and I like to know where I'm going and what I'm going to need, and they didn't know any of those things. They really just had to trust God to do it.
After they were so faithful to him and then immediately worshiped him, this is what God said to them. And that's also from Genesis. The Lord spoke to Abram, and he said, look up from where you are. Look north and south and east and west. I will give you all of the land that you see. I will give it to you and your children, all of those children that come after you forever. I will make your children like the dust of the earth. There's dust just about everywhere, right?
Yes.
Inside, outside.
Yeah.
Can dust be counted?
No. Especially not in my house.
If it can, then your children can be counted. Go, walk through the land. See how long and wide it is. I am giving it to you. So, after 25 years, God had still kept that promise because, now, let's see how many can figure out a math problem.
Okay. I love math.
When Abram started, he was 75.
Okay.
They traveled for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, this child that God had promised them was born. How old was Abram when his child was born?
Really old. So 75 plus 25. Well, and when you add 75 and 25, that makes me think of quarters and dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have 3 quarters, it would be 75 cents.
Right.
And if we add one more quarter, which is 25 cents, we get $1.
Mm-hmm.
So $1 is 100 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham was 100 years old when he became a dad.
God does amazing things, doesn't
God
he?
really does amazing things.
Yes.
Wow.
So also as part of that covenant, God decided from that point on that Abram would not be called Abram anymore, and he didn't name him Pete. He named him Abraham.
I wondered how that happened, because you hear about Abram and you hear about Abraham, and you figure they're the same person, but I didn't know how that happened.
It was all part of God's plan.
Okay.
And Sarai
Mm-hmm.
was then called Sarah.
Okay. So we had Abram and Sarai are the same people as Abraham and Sarah,
Yes.
but God gave them new names because of this amazing promise.
So sometimes promises make us wait a
A
long,
long time.
But God did exactly what he promised he was going to do. Now, let's think about what were the 4 things that God promised Abram that he was going to do. Can you remember?
He promised that he would make a nation of people, which is a lot of people.
Absolutely. Okay.
And he promised them a lot of blessings.
He would bless
Yeah.
all of them. Okay.
What else was there?
Well, he also said that through the family line, and we all know how families work. There's a mom and a dad, and then there are kids, and there are grandparents, and then it just keeps on going on. The kids have children, and they become the parents, and so on and so on and so on. Well, that's what happened with Abram's family. That's how it grew to the size of a nation. And he said from that line, over many, many, many years, the world would be blessed, and that they could have this land of Canaan. And Canaan is an area that we now refer to as Israel. So remember, everything is forever. So those were the 4 things.
Okay.
But here's the really amazing part that I thought about when I was thinking of this story. If you remember back when we had the story about Adam and Eve, and they sinned in the garden.
Yep.
At that point, people became separate from God. They were separated from him because of that sin. Well, God knew that they needed to be rescued, that this separation was not good. And they could not, on their own, save themselves. So, he knew that he was going to have to do something about that. And part of this promise was this family of Abraham and Sarai or Sarah. Part of that family line would keep going on and on and on, and his plan was through that line there would be someone to save them. Do you know who that was?
Who was it?
Did you know that Jesus came through the line of Abraham?
Wow.
I know, wow, right?
Yeah.
So that was God's plan all along.
Yeah.
Because he is a Savior.
God knows what he's doing.
Yes. So think about how God keeps his promises 100% of the time.
Yep.
Okay, there's another thing that I think about when I think about this story from Genesis.
What's that?
Well, it is a story about waiting.
Yes, it is.
Do you sometimes hate to wait?
All the time. I always hate to wait.
Yeah, there are just those things. It doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes waiting can make you a little bit antsy, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, how many times have you heard someone say, okay, I'll do it in a minute? Or they might say to you, in just a minute, we're going to go out for ice cream. I told you we would, I promise you, but in a minute we will.
I've also been that person that says in a minute.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, let's think.
Okay.
How long's a minute?
A minute is 60 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to time and see if you really know. Now, when somebody says in a minute, do you think they really mean right at the end of 60 seconds, I'm going to dash out that door, take you for ice cream?
It never works that way.
No. but it is a sense of, let's see how long a minute really is. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, you signal when you think that it's a minute. Are you ready? And,
We
you do the same thing. Whenever you think, okay, this is a minute, put your hand up. Okay? And you do the same thing.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
here
ready.
we go.
Ready.
On your mark.
1 minute.
Go.
Is it time yet?
No.
What do you think? How about now?
No.
I'm bored. Are you bored? What do you think? Is it a minute yet?
No.
All right, we can do this. A whole minute. We did it! It's a minute!
That was it.
And very patiently, I might add.
You did. You didn't get your kid at all. So when you think about 25 years of waiting for a promise to be fulfilled, Abraham and Sarah had to be such trusting people. Okay, now there's another thing, that one of the promises was that they were going to have a family as many as the stars in the sky, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Okay.
I'm going to take and I'm just going to put a little bit of salt. I'm going to sprinkle it. It was not even 1/8 of a teaspoon, so that's like there's not even a little. Okay, I'm going to give you a challenge. Count all the grains of salt that you see. Can you do it? Are there too many? How do you even keep track? Now think about this. Sometimes on a very dark, very clear night, standing wherever you are, if you look up into the sky, there are maybe that many stars. Now, do you think scientists count one by one by one in order to figure out about how many stars there are in the sky at night? No. But I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think then that they kind of estimate it? They don't count one at a time. They estimate. Would you estimate? Estimate means to make a reasonable guess at something. Do you think scientists would say there are 500 stars in the sky that you could see at night? Do you think it's 1,000 stars in the sky? Or do you think it's even more?
I think it's even more.
I read somewhere that if we look up on a very dark, a very clear night, that we probably are looking at around 2,000 stars.
Wow.
And that's what God promised to Abraham and Sarah, that their family would grow to be even more than the stars in the sky. So the next time that you're outside See if it works for you to try to count them. It will be almost as crazy as trying to count the salt.
Wow. So I thought maybe we could do something else with estimating. You get your pop packet. Remember, if you didn't get your pop packet yet, they're at the church. You can always come get one. But what we have in our pop packets for this week is we have our flyer with some things you can do at home. It opens up, and we have our stars in the sky. We have some activities to do, some suggestions. But also, you have 2 straws and 2 craft sticks.
Do we get something to drink?
Nope, not today.
No. Okay.
But I thought we could do some estimating, since we can't count the stars in the sky and we can't count how many children Abraham has in his line because there's just too many. I thought we could understand what that's like to estimate a little differently. So, Carol, how tall are you?
I'm at 5'3".
About 5'3". Okay, so can you come over to our height chart here, and I would like to actually see how tall you are. So I see, yep, you're a little over the 5-foot mark. Yep, about 5'3". I'm gonna take a pencil and draw it on our wall here. Very good, you can step away. Okay, so we have our line. Miss Carol goes up to about here. And so that's about 5'3". Now, so you're what, 5 feet and 3 inches, right? Okay, how many popsicle sticks are you? How many craft sticks tall are you?
I don't know. I'd have to really think about that.
If we were gonna estimate.
How would I figure out how many I am?
Well, you can estimate. If you could think this is this big and you're that big, how many of these do you think it would take to make one of those?
50.
50? Okay, that's your guess. Let's see if she's right. Let's see, we'll start at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can you see me now? 8, 9, 10, just under 11.
I was not very good at estimating, was I?
Oh, you about 11 craft sticks. How tall are you in craft sticks? So what you can do is see how tall you are. Ask your grown-up first before you make a line on the wall. That may not be what they want to do. Maybe they want to mark it with a sticker or a piece of tape, or just hold your finger there. But once you see how tall you are, let's think about how many craft sticks you are.
How many craft sticks tall am I?
Just under 11. You're about 11 craft sticks.
11 craft sticks.
So
wow.
Next time someone asks you how tall you are,
I could say I'm 11
you're
craft
11
sticks.
craft sticks.
Okay, I'll do
Okay, Miss Carol, can you come over in the middle here?
Mm-hmm.
How many straws are you?
I'll bet, because that is bigger, longer than the craft sticks, that it has to be fewer.
Yeah, I bet it is. It should be fewer than 11, huh?
Fewer than 11.
So we're going to see how many craft sticks tall Miss Carol is. So
how many straws?
I'm sorry, how many straws, you're right.
Yeah.
So we'll do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just about 8. You're 8 straws tall.
So the next time someone asks me how tall I am, I can remember those 2 things.
Yes, you're 8 straws and you're 11 craft sticks. And I'm interested. I'd love to know, how tall are you? How many straws are you taller than us? There's a lot of people that are taller than me, Miss Carol and myself.
So I don't have to use always a craft stick, and I don't always have to use a straw.
No.
Could I say how many books tall are you?
How many books are? How many pencils tall are you?
How many phones?
How many phones tall are you? How many fingers tall are you? If you did it this way, there's 1, 2, 3. I bet you'd be a lot of fingers tall.
Wow.
That would be a lot for us to figure out. But
so that's a lot for them to try to work on this week, right?
Yeah, I'd love to know how tall you are.
I wonder how many marshmallows tall they are.
Ooh, and would it be the mini marshmallows or the big marshmallows?
I think they'd be too tempted to just eat the mini ones.
I know I would.
Okay, me too.
So, yeah, how many marshmallows tall are you?
Okay.
So that's a fun activity. We can find out how tall we are in other objects.
All right.
So this is great. Thank you, Miss Carol, for this lesson. This is a great story.
It was my pleasure.
This is a great story. All right. Well,
The only thing that would make this experience better, if all of those kids that are watching were just sitting right out there.
I agree. I miss you all so much.
Me too.
I'm so happy that we still get to tell you the stories this way, but can't wait to see you again, hopefully soon. So, all right. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You
and
too.
You too.
Have a good day. Thanks again, Carol, for that story about Abraham and Sarah. Now you may be wondering, why am I holding pasta and sauce? What does that have to do with Abraham and Sarah? Absolutely nothing. It has nothing to do with Abraham and Sarah. Every year at VBS, we have a mission, and a mission that we help and we support. And this year, our mission is the Cupboard Stretchers Food Pantry that is right here at Sampson's Mills. The Cupboard Stretchers Food Pantry serves people in White Oak and Versailles Borough who are food insecure and helps them out when needed. On the third Friday of every month, we have our food distribution, and we collect food donations throughout the year, throughout the weeks. It goes on all year. So what we thought we would do is we would collect food for the Cupboard Stretchers Food Pantry. This coming Saturday from 11 to 1 is our next packet switch. So we have a packet pickup for you with your next 2 weeks. We also would like you to bring pasta and sauce this time. 1 box of pasta, 1 jar of sauce. And that's optional. If you would like to do it, we would love to have it. If you're not able to do it, that's perfectly fine too. But our mission this year is the Cupboard Stretchers Food Pantry, and we're going to be collecting donations all summer. This week, we're doing pasta and sauce. So make sure you come see us at Sampson's Mills, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Saturday, June 20th. Well, friends, we made it through week 2 of VBS. Can you pray with me? Repeat after me. Dear God, thank you for your people of promise. And thank you for showing us how we are your people of promise. We trust you, and we love you, and we can't wait to see what promises you've given us. Amen. All right, let's end with our closing prayer song. Over to you, Madeline.
Be still and know that God is here. 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 Be still and know